This is Yair speaking to you from Jerusalem, the capital of Israel, speaking to you on behalf of Brit-Am, Hebrew nations, and we are an organisation that searches the whereabouts of lost 10 tribes, and we have found the Western tribes amongst Western peoples, and we find a very large proportion of the tribes nowadays, at our time, to be amongst the citizens or the inhabitants of the USA. And we have proven it. We have proven this from biblical sources, from rabbinical sources, from archaeological sources, from secular sources of all kinds, from many fields of research have we brought proofs concerning this fact. The lost 10 tribes now are to be mainly found amongst Western nations, and that the USA is one of the most important centres of the 10 tribes in our time. And one of the things that we look into is that the place names, biblical place names in the USA, tell us something about the tribal characteristics of different sections of the USA and of the USA in general. And they are interesting. By speaking of these places, we bring up different aspects of biblical studies, facets of research can be recalled. Whereas the place names themselves may not actually prove anything. We are not taking this field of study as seriously as we take other fields. Nevertheless, points of interest do come up, and there may be something in it, and at all events you should enjoy and also benefit from hearing what we have to say concerning these different place names. We are going through the USA state by state. At present, we are looking into Alaska, the state of Alaska. Alaska, in its geographical area, is the largest state in the USA. Most of Alaska, most of the inhabitants of Alaska live in the Anchorage metropolitan area, or at least half of them do. Alaska was a place that the Spaniards and then the Russians showed interest in after the discovery of North America. Eventually the Russians took some control, but they didn't do very much with the area, and in 1867 they sold it to the USA. The population of Alaska is about 77% white, 3% black, 20% American Indian, and Alaska Native, Eskimos and so on. Nevertheless, the proportion of non-whites is growing, and as of 2011, 50% of Alaska's population age of less than one, under the age of 1 year, were minorities, non-white minorities, for whatever it's worth. Of the white population of Alaska, in year 2000, according to the census reports, almost 17% considered their ancestry to be German, 11% considered it to be Irish. There were another 10.5% Amerindian, 9.6% English, 6.1% Eskimo. The whites, therefore, for 70% of the population, only less than 50% of the infant children. Largest groups amongst the settlers, amongst the white settlers, are of Germanic origin, then come the Irish, after that the English. And even though the Germans are very prominent in America, people of Germanic descent are very prominent amongst the white population. We have shown in different articles and researches of ours and books that we have written, such as our work Joseph, that the Germans who came to the USA, they came in waves of migration, and they often came from different areas, and they were different from the Germans who stayed behind. They were different in their social origins, in their political outlook, in their characteristics, and some ways even in their physical characteristics, as was studied and remarked upon at the time. Now this is a known phenomenon, that migrants, emigrants from certain areas in Europe are different from those who do not emigrate. They have different features, and we suggest that they had a different ancestry. Whereas the Germans who remained behind in Germany were often anti-Jewish in their sentiments, or became anti-Jewish, allowed themselves to be manipulated by anti-Jewish elements. The Germans who came to the USA, on the whole, were even less anti-Semitic, less anti-Jewish than the others who were already there, or the people who came from other areas. And this has been remarked upon. Studies have been done about it, and it has been suggested that these Germans were, on this basis and other basis, different from the Germans in Germany. And we believe that. We believe that they were actually Israelites who belonged mainly from the tribe of Manasseh, who were separating out from their non-Israelite neighbours, and they came to the USA. And there's proof of this. Nevertheless, there were also non-Israelites amongst them. And not only that, but when we have them in groups, they had emerged from a non-Israelite cultural predominance. They had been influenced more by their non-Israelite surroundings than other people, than other Israelites had, because in Germany they had not been the dominant factor. They had not been unable to express their Israelite ancestry to a sufficient degree before coming to the USA, so that in some cases something of the old ways, of the old hang-ups, of the old predicaments still cling to them. So we do find, alongside the philo-Semitic, the pro-Jewish aspects of this immigration to the USA, we also find anti-Semites amongst them, and those who are anti-Jewish, and possibly also those who are not of Israelite origin who mixed in with them. And we must keep our eyes open and take this as it comes, and it's worth noting. At the moment, we are going to go through these biblical place names in Alaska. On the whole, we find within Alaska, it could be that Alaska has the least or the lowest proportion of Israelites amongst its population than any other US state. So it would seem that in Alaska, there are less names of biblical origin than anywhere else. But there are some, and these those that are interesting and worth looking at. So we'll look at them. In Bethel County, with a place called Bethel County, was in the west, to the west of Alaska. It was named Bethel County. Bethel is the name of Bethel, was a city where actually two different settlements, one besides the other, in the center of ancient Israel. One was in the territory of Ephraim, and the other was in the territory of Benjamin. And Benjamin was to remain with Judah, and Ephraim was to separate with the northern tribes. What happened originally, there were 12 tribes in the land of Israel, they were all in one kingdom. Then, after the death of King Solomon, his son Rehoboam, or Rehoboam as it's pronounced in English transliteration, Rehoboam became king. In his reign, 10 of the tribes under Jeroboam, Yeravam in Hebrew, split apart, and they set up their own kingdom in the north, their own kingdom of Israel. And this kingdom was conquered by the Assyrians, and all of them taken away into exile, and they lost consciousness of their identity. Before they split apart, Yeravam had set up two golden calves, one in Bethel and the other in Dan, and he used Bethel as the center of Ephraim. But in addition to the Bethel, which was in Ephraim, over the border, just over the border, there's another section of this city. Bethel was actually in the territory of Benjamin, and that belonged to Judah. Benjamin was the one tribe that clothed to Judah. Judah and Benjamin were in the south, and they were the main tribes in the south and the southern kingdom. Afterwards, most of the Levites from all of Israel converged, returned, and also entered the southern kingdom. And when the northern kingdom of Israel was taken into exile, there were also refugees from the other tribes who did manage to make their way south and join onto Judah. Nevertheless, Judah, the tribe of Judah, was the dominant tribe. The kingdom was known as the Kingdom of Judah, and all of its inhabitants, or the descendants of all of its inhabitants, are the present-day Jewish people, the Jews. So we have the Bethel was a city that or the name of two different settlements, one besides each other, one in Ephraim and the other in Benjamin. Another place we find in Fairbanks. Fairbanks is in the northern. Fairbanks is in the interior, actually, the interior of Alaska. It's a major province in Alaska. We have a city called Esther, or actually a township called Esther. Esther is found in the Bible. Esther was descended from King Saul, and she was from the tribe of Benjamin. In Fairbanks, also in the interior, as we said, we have another place called Fairbanks, North Star County. We have a place called Dennis Manor. Dennis, the name Dennis is derived from Dan. Dan was a tribe of Israel. In Haines County in the southeast of Alaska, we have a place called Covenant Life. Covenant reminds us of the Israelite covenant, the covenant of God Almighty with the Israelite people. And we also have a place called, or actually a glacier called Davidson Glacier. It's well known. David, son, derives from the name David, son of David. David was the king of Israel. In the southeast, in Juneau County, we have Aaron Island and Mount Benjamin Island. Aaron was from the Levi, the tribe of Levi, and Benjamin Island reminds us once again of Benjamin from the tribe of Benjamin. In the south central area, we have the county of Matanuska, Susitna County. And there we have Ammonite Creek. The Ammonites bordered the Israelites. Naamah was the wife of Solomon. She was a convert from Ammon. She was an Ammonite. It was permitted to take women from Ammon and from Moab and accept them as Israelites, but it was forbidden to take men. It was forbidden to take males from Moab and from Ammon. From Moab we had the convert Ruth, who was the ancestor of King David. She married Boaz. And we also have Naamah, who became one of the wives of Rehoboam. Actually, sorry, she became the mother of Rehoboam. She was one of the wives of Solomon. And through Rehoboam, or Rehoboam, the name is pronounced, it seems the line that will give us a future Messiah, son of David, will emerge. We have a Nome, the county of Nomi, in the northwest of Alaska, and then we have a place called Davidson's Landing, once again named after King David, and we have Mary's Igloo. The name Mary is derived from the Hebrew Miriam. Miriam was originally, or is first recorded in the Bible as the sister of Aaron and Moses, and they were from the tribe of Levi. We also have Moses' Point, and Moses Point fishing village, both of them named after Moses, once again from the tribe of Levi. We have a place called St. Michael. Michael is the name of the guardian angel of Israel in the Bible, as we find in the book of Daniel. We also have Albion Creek. Albion is a name given to England, or rather to Britain. In general, we believe that the name Albion is a form of the place named Lebanon, of Lebanon, the nation Israel. Lebanon at nation times belonged mainly to Asher, and also a portion of it belonged to Manasseh. In the southeast of Alaska we have Wrangell, Petersburg County, and then we have Aaron Creek, once again named after Aaron from Levi. We have Abraham Islands, named after Abraham, the patriarch, the first founder of the Hebrew nation. We have Anita Bay and Anita Point. These names, Anita is a form of Anna. Anna in Hebrew, Hannah, was the mother of Samuel, and who was famous for the officiating at the helping to officiate at the tabernacle in Shiloh, and he was from the tribe of Levi. We also have Avon Island in this province. Avon Island, which may be related, connected somehow or other to the place named Avon, Brit-Am in Benjamin. And then in the interior we have Yukon Koyukuk County, and then we have Evansville. And Evansville, once again, may also be derived from Avon in Benjamin, though there are other similar place names in other parts of Israel, including in Naphtali and Manasseh. We have Abin Beit Maacah, for instance. It's a common place name in Israel. It's a common, not a common, but it's a known component in Israelite place names. We have Galena in the same region, the area in Alaska, Galena. And I don't know whether Galena originally meant in Russia. In Russian, apparently it is of Russian origin, this name. But they have Hebrew words and names such as Gula, redemption, Gila, rejoicing, Golan, and so on, that are very similar. So it could be interpreted as a Hebrew name. We also have Abraham Lake, named after Abraham. We have Allen Creek and Allen River, named after Elon, who was one of the clan names in Zebulon. And we have Ruby, place name called Ruby. Ruby is short for Reuben. And even the ruby gem, the red gem, was actually the gem in the breastplate of the high priest that was associated with the Reuben. The high priest in the temple service had a breastplate, and on this breastplate there were 12 precious stones, and each stone was associated with a specific tribe, a particular tribe. The tribe of Reuben was had the gem ruby as his precious gem, and it could be that the English name ruby for this gem, for this red gem, is derived, it's a short form for Reuben. So we see here, we see quite a few place names and so on, and these place names are from all of the tribes. There's quite a few of the tribes, but we could say that mainly the tribes of Judah, Levi and Benjamin predominate, and these happen to be the main tribes amongst the Jewish people, amongst those Jews who were not exiled by the Assyrians. As we said, the kingdom of Judah in the south was not exiled by the Assyrians, and they were not taken away like the 10 tribes were. They did not lose their identity like the 10 tribes did. They remained coherent. They remained conscious of their ancestry. They were taken away later by the Babylonians, but even in their places of exile, they remembered who they are. They retained their religious traditions and their knowledge of their forefathers, and they returned and re-established the kingdom of Judah. And they are the Jewish people, and the Jewish people are built around have input from all the 12 tribes amongst them, but Judah, Benjamin, and Levi are especially important, and we find these place names to be dominant amongst the biblical place names in Alaska. Even though I don't think there are that many Jews in Alaska itself, it was proposed. Before the Second World War, just before the outbreak of the Second World War, Hitler was persecuting the Jews, and a proposal was made that the Jews should be allowed to come to Alaska and set up some type of reservation, some type of area of their own within Alaska. But this did not come through. It did not come into fruition. Nothing came of this plan. And one of the reasons was that the local inhabitants of Alaska were against it, and they expressed their opposition to it. In some cases, they expressed it in anti-Jewish terms. So this should be remembered. We should remember the good with the bad. Just as the USA has helped Israel and helped the Jewish people, there have been exceptions, and the exceptions should also be remembered and taken into consideration. And these exceptions may reflect non-Israelite heritage. It is true that even before the exile, the Israelites fought against each other. And there was antagonism between the two different sections of the Israelite nation. And so that antagonism or anti-Jewish feeling does not necessarily mean non-Israelite ancestry. We have a lot of examples of that. Even people of known Jewish ancestry, whose forebears were known to have been Jewish, sometimes have been amongst the worst anti-Jewish individuals in history. But nevertheless, on the whole, we may say that anti-Jewish sentiments or anti-Jewish prejudices are one indication or a possible indication of non-Israelite ancestry, and that the non-Israelite factor should be taken into consideration alongside the Israelite one. Thank you very much. This is Yair Davidi. I've been speaking to you from Jerusalem, the capital of Israel, and I've been speaking to you on behalf of Brit-Am, Hebrew nations. Thank you.